Hey everyone, CryptoVatsik here. Thanks for tuning in. Nothing of what you're about to see is considered financial advice. Okay, I'm going to start this video off first with holy effing shit. All right, now that we got that out of the way, let's just get to the chart. I'm sure everyone's been watching the news and has by now figured out what's going on. But let's leave that alone for now and let's just go back to the chart and see what we can find. So right off the bat, obviously we've broken some support levels, okay? And where was that support level taken from? It was taken from this previous area of consolidation over here. Okay. And so we have pierced that now. And what I mean by that is this big red candle has seriously violated that area of support, which would now be considered resistance. Okay, so even if price started to give some relief and we came back up into here tomorrow or in the coming days, I would expect another drop. Somewhere in this area, I would expect another drop for sure. This is now resistance. We pierced it. It's been violated, so we have to assume that it's violated and it's not valid anymore at this point. And so with that said, let's get rid of it now at this point, just to clean up the chart. Where am I looking? I'm looking at this lower green zone. Okay, and to keep in mind, to full transparency, I did have accumulation area zone up here on another chart on Bitcoin. Okay, around 19,000. 18.5 to 19,000. So yeah, full transparency, I was accumulating in that area. And you just have to reevaluate, right? Now you got to start to plan for the worst and hope for the best. And so what do I mean by that? Well, I'm looking at another drop potentially down to this green zone. This is around the 13,000, just under 13,000 level. And the reason is because it just dates back to a few areas of confluence. Okay, so one, first off being here, there's some nice respective reaction in here. There's the previous high that we got in June 2019, the third high that we got here, or sorry, second to this high over here, okay, in 2020. And then ultimately when we broke that level, you can see what happened, right? So that's my next level. And just also because there's not a ton below this area of consolidation that we had been bouncing on for some time. Below that, there's just nothing in here that tells me we're going to bottom out in. Okay, so I have to assume that we're going to come back down to this next level. That's what I'm watching. It doesn't mean we have to go to that level. It doesn't mean we will. We could bottom here and then start to shift the trend, change the trend, right? However, I'm planning for the worst and hoping for the best. And if we do bottom earlier, that's fine. I'll still be able to get on board. Why try and catch a falling knife when you can let it fall on the floor and then pick it up safely, okay? So that's what I'm watching. That's my level right now. And contextually, keeping in mind, though the world seems to be ending right now on this drop, it's not something we haven't seen before. And if you've been in crypto for a year or so already even, or less than that, you know that it's very volatile. And if you just go back to some predated crashes that we've had, let's go back to the COVID crash that we had and mark it out. Okay, so this was a violent black swan event similar to what we have today that dropped price right around 50%, 50 to 60% even. Okay, so that's much larger than what we've got currently. Okay, we've got currently, and keep in mind I say currently, this is 25% crash. Okay, and this is on Bitcoin. So yeah, maybe we come back down to that 50 area or that 40 somewhere in here. I don't know. We'll have to see. Time will tell. However, at the moment, it's not as bad. Okay. And then we can go back even to the bear market crash that we had. This is a major capitulation event that we had. Okay. Which might be something similar to what we're seeing right now, where basically we formed that base of support, right, for quite some time that we had recently until violating that base on this big candle right here. And so that's what I mean when we violate it. Who knows what happens, right? You're kind of in a free fall, so to speak, right? And so this one had a minus 50% drop as well, right? So this is a capitulation event, and it's good to recognize these events because this is almost needed for us to kickstart the next cycle, right? And to really get our true bottom, something like this, you need this capitulation event. And that just means basically people have given up, and a wide range of people and investors, long-term investors and traders are essentially capitulating. They're selling all their bags, even the bags that they thought they would never sell. They're like, fuck it, I'm dumping it. This thing's headed to zero, kind of thing. That's the event that you're waiting for. And I have a I have a feeling that we're getting to that point. I have a feeling that this is starting to look like that. Okay. So you need to be cautious in a time like this. You need to tighten up your portfolio. You need to stay, in my opinion, away from those risky altcoin, those risky plays in alts, and start tightening up to the majors, start tightening to Bitcoin, Ethereum, most importantly, being patient. So even if it means leaving capital on the sideline and not getting involved for some time, could be a great option. Not being in a trade is a position, okay? And it can be a great position to be in when you know opportunity is just around the corner. When prices start coming down like this much, this drastically, then it provides opportunistic times for the next coming few months, even 6 months kind of thing. And so if that is right around the corner, then don't you wish you'd have some capital set aside, right, to deploy. Okay. So I just wanted to bring it into context with the other dumps that we've had, major crashes, within the last few years, 4 or 5 years kind of thing. Obviously with the COVID crash, we recovered quite quickly, but realistically, it was totally unexpected, not foreseen. You couldn't have priced it in no matter what. Back here, totally different market. This is more of a capitulation event, from a bear market. So it's different times, different outcome, okay? And so I don't expect us to review reverse like we did on the COVID crash. I expect something more similar to like how we saw in 2019 recovery, okay? So with that said, another thing I'm noticing is the volume, and keeping in mind this is on Binance, but the volume is massive, okay? And so I know this looks drastic, but it's almost a good sign, because when you go back to those capitulating events, that's where you see volume spike. You see an aggressive spike in volume. You see it kind of tatering out here, okay? Volume tatering out, right? Just price kind of flatlining. And then you see this massive spike during the capitulation event right here, okay? So it's almost a good thing there to see this volume coming in. And you saw it here as well on the COVID crash, okay? Massive spike in volume. And it's not untypical to see that, is my point. So yeah, this is some thick, thick-bodied bars on volume here on Binance. But I've talked about it in previous videos quite some time ago, that you kind of see volume taper off like this, and I was looking for this. I was looking for a big dump, and I kind of thought this might have been the one here, but we didn't really see that spike in volume just compared to other previous balances over here. But now we are seeing it. I think this is some of the highest volume Binance has ever seen, okay, recorded on these two tall bars here. So it's very telling, and each time, statistically speaking, each time it's recovered and come back stronger. I'm just not going to get into too much other technical analysis, to be honest, because it kind of goes out the window on these types of events. You can draw lines as much as you want, but on these events, it's just so unpredictable, it's so unstable, and the news is, the news is really driving the price right now. So I'm not going to get too much into technical analysis. I did notice potential bullish divergence on the RSI, on the 3-day and the weekly here, but it's just like, I'm not even going to go into it. I'm just going to draw out this line, this zone here, and I'm going to be patient. I'm going to sit on my hands. I might DCA in more, depending on what we see. If we keep coming down lower, I'll just keep, potentially DCAing small amounts and then more heavily in green. But ultimately, kind of just got to ride this one out. There's another chart I'll show quickly as well that I've shared before in the log chart. I'll bring it up now. So here's a logarithmic growth curve chart that I've drawn up, and I know it's busy. I've shared it in my previous video. You can go back and watch it, but really just keeping it simple, you guys. We've tagged and starting to pierce the bottom band of this lower curve, okay, the support curve here, but it's not the first time. And sorry, I know this squiggly is all over the place. It smoothens out like this because this was my overall idea, is that we'd come into some sort of upward accumulating zone here in the green box to really recover out of this bear market to new all-time highs. And I still think that will happen, but we are starting to violate this lower support band of the growth curve, right? And we have seen that before though, okay? We hovered below it temporarily during the COVID crash. And even to some degree, and keep in mind, I drew this on here, okay? So this is not actually an algorithmic indicator, from someone on TradingView. I've actually just drawn this one out. There are other ones where, we breached it even earlier up here, or other ones that we haven't breached it even whatsoever yet. So I just liked this one, but anyways, nevertheless, we have seen a pierce before. So it doesn't mean we can't briefly pierce through it and, kind of hover around it for some time until really coming back up. So just take it with a grain of salt. It's not the end of the world here. I try my best to view this more as an opportunity, because I know in 5 years I will still be here. So stay safe out there, protect your capital. Please, please, please be patient. Don't do anything stupid in the next few weeks, and survive to see a new day, and that being the next cycle. It will come. It's just it's going to take time, you guys. So that's kind of it. That's my thoughts for it. Thanks a lot for joining, and I hope you guys are doing all right. We'll see you on the next one.